Hello everyone. Today I am going to present to you our paper titled Intelligent Steel Structures, Model Updating Concept for Innovative Design Strategies. I am Sharmistha Chowdhury. My co-authors on this paper are Ms. Idna Wudtke and Professor Matthias Kraus, and we are from Bauhaus University, Weimar. Let's consider we have a structure which is equipped with network monitoring system. We retrieve the data from the measurement system and analyze the data and try to convert the data into some information and possibly knowledge. And then we can update the structural system by considering the current damage state of the structure or the current material model of the structure. For example, if there is any flaws or cracks are identified or how the material model has been degraded. So for further life cycle assessment, we will take into account the degraded material model and the identified damage into our design procedure, which is different than our initial design state. And to include the information from the measurement system into our further design state is the essence of an intelligent structure. In our initial design concept, we say that the limit state function G is a safety margin, which is the difference between the effects of actions and the resistance. And the basic condition is that the effects of action has to be lower than the resistance. The limit state function further differentiates the domain of a structure into two subdomains. One is the no failure subdomain, and another is the failure subdomain. Now if we consider some probability distribution function on the action side and also on the resistance side, we can imagine that there will be some specific distribution function also for the limit state function. However, often we have very few information on the border area of the action side and resistance side's distribution function. Therefore, to overcome this issue into our probability of failure calculation, some partial safety factor concept has been introduced, which is also called a semi-probabilistic approach on both on action side and also on the resistance side. And then we can say that this ensures to cover the whole probability of failure subdomain. So at first step, let's consider we have a structure which is existing and where we would like to introduce some network monitoring system. And from there, we extract some measurement data, analyze the data. And on the third step, we do the model identification via numerical modeling of the structure. We observe the influence from the different parameters, for example, geometrical imperfections, residual stresses, or welding. And from the set of various models here, we have to select the model which closely represent our designed existing designed model using the measurement data. And then on the last stage, we do the model updating. There we have three possibilities: deterministic model updating, stochastic model updating, and multiple modeling methods. In stochastic model updating, there are two main branches: sensitivity analysis and Bayesian updating. And in this study, we will talk about the sensitivity analysis. After doing the model updating, we can continue updating our design concept, and we can repeat this procedure, and we say that this is the structure of an intelligent structure. So our case study is a vertical compressed plate which is fixed, rigidly fixed here with the testing machine. And to prevent the vertical displacement, a pin support is introduced here, and to avoid the rotation of the vertical plate, a horizontal plate is here attached to the vertical plate. This plate is clamped in a defined distance with a compression plate beneath, which in this case is 87 mm and 57 mm. And then here at location F, the displacement control load is introduced, and deformation due to that displacement control loading is measured via a transducer. And then we repeat this analysis for experiment for 10 times, and then we see the load displacement plotting, where we can see some scattering of the load displacement curve. After performing the experiments, the numerical model of the system has been done in an FEM software, and there we observe the influence of 4 different parameters predominantly. The first one is the influence of the top support of the vertical plate and the welded joint at bottom. And secondly, we see the imperfections on inclinations of the vertical plate. And on third, we see the influence of initial or geometrical deformation. Here we have see again what is the influence from the parabolic deformation, and then the deformation shape assigned to the first eigenmode with 3 different magnitudes of L over 250, L over 500, and L over 1000. And last, we observe the influence of the residual stress. And then when we observe the 4 different parameters, then we can identify now which model is suiting best with respect to our measurement data to our structural system. So after performing the numerical analysis, and we can now combine the influence of one parameter with another parameter and can have multiple combinations. So the first combination in this table is the inclination of phi is equal to L by 25 with residual stress, and the last one, for example, is combination with geometrical imperfection L over 1000 with parabolic shape and restraint and welding. And from all these combinations, the geometrical imperfection of L over 500 with first eigenmode shape is representing our experimental model closely based on the data from load displacement analysis, which are here plotted. So here in this figure you see the gray lines represent the load displacement curve obtained from the measurement systems, and the colorful lines here represent the eigenmode shape and residual stress and the geometrical imperfection. After identifying the numerical model based on the measurement data, we can perform the sensitivity analysis by generating samples. So we generate samples for length of horizontal plate, thickness of the horizontal plate, and the applied vertical displacement. And our response variables would be the load and displacement. So we generate 2 sets of samples, so to see the influence of the different samplings. So the red one represent the result from 10 samples, and the blue one represent the result from the 30 samples. Here we are showing the linear coefficient of correlation between the two variables. For example, here with length of the horizontal plate with the displacement with the load, and length of the horizontal plate with the displacement of the middle of the vertical plate, and so on. And as you can see that the highest coefficient of correlation is observed in the vertical displacement and with the displacement in the middle of the vertical plate. Also, another thing which is we see that the sampling rate, so the result difference between the 10 samples and the 30 samples is not significant. Though we haven't seen very significant difference between the 10 samples and 30 samples result with respect to the coefficient of correlation, when we feed the data to a probability density function, we see some very significant differences here with respect to the fitted PDF. For example, when we do the fitted PDF with 10 samples, we see the distribution is log uniform, and when we do the fitting with 30 samples, we see the fitted PDF is the beta distribution. Now we see the coefficient of variation of input parameters and output parameters. if that value of input parameters are higher than the output parameters, we say the model is not robust. So in this case, we have L2 is really the highest, which is an input parameter, and Fmax is the lowest, which is an output parameter. So we can say that the model is not robust yet. The another parameter is adjusted coefficient of importance, which if for the horizontal displacement of the vertical compressed plate is strongly correlated with the vertical displacement. However, that is not strongly correlated with respect to the introduced load. Therefore, we can say that the horizontal displacement at the vertical compressed plate will be the robust parameter for further design. Now we create here an N3 plot with our identified strong robust parameter, which is the displacement U, and with vertical displacement SY. We create different samples and we see accumulation of the design parameters in this region, and we say that will be 0.09 millimeter as vertical displacement, and the horizontal displacement will be 1.048 millimeter. That is our identified design space. And with that, if we made a failure plot with respect to 4.5 sigma, we see that all the data of horizontal displacement is covered within this. So we can say that the failure region is covered. And then we see a fitted probability of distribution function of the design parameters. So in this paper, we have proposed a measurement-based model updating concept, and we have shown a statistical representation of parameter influences and mutual correlations in the context of multidimensionality by sensitivity analysis. In future work, we would like to do the revision of the design of existing structures with measurement-based Bayesian model updating. So I would like to thank you all for your attention, and I also would like to thank the organizer of the Eurosteel 2021 conference.